Hi everyone, I'm Marv Reynolds, co-founder of Reset Your Barcode Training Academy, where we teach you how to reset your barcode so that you can get past the things that hold you back and move forward and accomplish the things that you really desire. Now with that in mind, in an earlier video I talked a lot about success and how success requires cooperation, which requires a contribution, which comes from character and competence, which is developed through preparation. And so in this segment, I want to talk a little bit about preparation. Through the years, I've watched very carefully those who make the greatest contribution, and I've been able to isolate, it seems like 5 different things they tend to do over and over and over. And each time they go through the process, they come up with a little stronger, better character, a little more effective with their natural abilities. In other words, their contribution just seems to improve over and over and over. So it's not a one-time thing, but a lifetime process that they go through. And as I've looked at those 5 things, pretty much identify them into these 5 steps. Now, as I define them or describe them to you, I want you to know that I've chosen an iconic reference to relate to them, just so that you can understand and relate to them very quickly. So for example, the first one is what I call the glass slipper process. Now, of course, glass slipper, you think Cinderella, perfect fit, happily ever after, that kind of thing. And that's really exactly what they're doing. You see, in their preparation, they're trying to become the perfect fit. In other words, they're changing their values to become compliant with correct principles so that over time, everything they do is very consistent, very solid, and based on the right kinds of things. And that's one of the things we teach you how to do in Reset Your Barcode Training Academy, is learn what those principles are that your values have to align with. So the first step is all about becoming. Now, I'd like to just point out one thing. You know how in the fairy tales they always say, and they lived happily ever after? And I've heard people say, yeah, right, well, that's in a fairy tale. But the point I'd like to make is that it doesn't say they never had any more problems, but it does say they lived happily ever after. And you see, I think that happy living is a choice, and it comes from the preparation you put into your character and your competence. You can actually learn to live happily regardless, even though there are sad moments and tough experiences. You can be a happy person and live together happily ever after. But that's dependent upon you becoming really the perfect fit, or making sure that you transition your life into those things that are compliant with principles. So, having said that, the next phase that I've watched people do over and over and over is one that I will call the Ebenezer experience. You see, if you think about Ebenezer Scrooge and his whole story of becoming very selfish, and then how he had the privilege of being visited by Christmas ghosts, and they showed him what his future was going to look like, and that scared him, and it allowed him to make some changes. Changes that not only affected the outcome of his life, but the outcome of others. Why? Because his contribution changed. See, when his contribution changed, his ability to cooperate changed, and that changed the success level for many people. So when you do the Ebenezer experience, what we're really talking about is an opportunity for you to systematically, in fact on a daily basis, give yourself a wake-up call. In other words, every day have a process where you check yourself against certain things and always make sure that you're becoming compliant with those. And as you do, your contribution improves. Well, that leads us to the third thing that I've observed over the years, and that's one I'm going to call the wooden puppet process. That's really a goal-setting process. If you remember the story of Pinocchio, a little favorite wooden puppet who wanted to become a real boy. So he didn't want somebody else controlling his life or, tugging on his strings and making him do things. He wanted to take those external controls and remove them and replace them internally so that he was really able to choose for himself. And so when you talk about the real boy experience or the wooden puppet process, what you're really talking about is a correct understanding of freedom and the proper use of it, the responsibility that comes with it. And we could talk a long time about that, but to introduce that concept, I want you to understand that it's all about knowing how to set goals properly. And you have to remember that goals are not goals unless they are measurable, unless they're things you can actually control. Otherwise, they're desires. And we'll teach you all about that in the Reset Your Barcode Training Academy so that you can create your own wooden puppet experience and process over and over and over. Well, the next one is what we call the GPS process. Now, when you hear GPS, hopefully you think of the Global Positioning System or Global Positioning Satellite, where you are able to input information that says, this is where I want to go, and then it sends a signal up into the heavens, triangulates it through the satellite, sends it back to your machine that says, this is where you are, this is where you want to go, this is the best route to get there. So it's this constant feed process all the time. Well, the thing that's important to understand about the GPS, two things. One, for us, it's the growth positioning system. See, we want to know where we're at all the time, just the same as when we're on a journey. Well, we're on a journey for life, and it's a journey of growth and progress, and as soon as we stop, we need to get back on the road. Well, when we're on the road, we tend to run into detours. I don't care if it's a storm or an accident or any kind of a detour. We have things that cause us to get off track. That's as natural as it can be, and a lot of times that stops people. And what we want you to understand is just like the GPS, every time you get off track, it says recalculating. Well, we want you to have a system of accountability in your life so that periodically you check yourself. Am I still on track? If you're not, don't get upset. Just say, recalculating, get back on track. And that's another one of the things that we've observed, that real contributors, people who do their preparation so that they can make a great contribution, that's one of the steps they do, and it's one of the things we will teach you how to do at Reset Your Barcode Training Academy. Now, the last step, step number 5, is what we call the pay it forward process. And this is what we call really level 2 success. This is where we turn around and take all the experience and development of character and competence that we have, and we find a way to make a valuable contribution to someone else. See, we join the cooperative effort to help them move to a whole new level. It's amazing. The greatest success you'll ever experience is when you help somebody else succeed. But you can't do that until you have a contribution, so that means somebody has to help you first. But you've got to take it to the next level, which is turn around and help others. And so in the pay it forward process, we teach you how to make sure that that happens, how to find your unique strengths and abilities and apply them in ways that can help people move to the next level. And if you think about the pay it forward process, you may remember the book or the movie about the young boy who said, if one person can help 3, and those 3 can help 3, and those 3 each can help 3 more, you turn into 1, 3, 9, 27. Pretty soon, if you could do that just 20 times without having the chain break at all, you're going to reach over 1 billion people. Imagine the power of one person if they just accept the responsibility to pay it forward. But you can't do that unless you've done your preparation. So I wanted to spend this few minutes with you talking about preparation. 5 steps. We'll teach you how to do them very effectively so that as you do them over and over and over, you will see a continual increase and improvement in your ability to make a contribution. Why? Because your character will change and improve. Your competence will increase and expand until ultimately people will knock down your doors to get to you to have you help them go to the next level. So remember, if you do your preparation, you increase your contribution. That allows you to cooperate better. That gives you a greater level of success for you and for those that you serve. So the process of doing that is the process of resetting your barcode. So remember, when you reset your barcode, you reset your life.